think that I can look at a single game this season where he himself has been the difference maker. To me,
yeah, that's just ridiculous.
To me,
okay. It entirely depends on what hype you're reading. If you're reading Twitter, yeah.
You said he was better than Arch Manning.
I think he is better than Arch Manning.
He is not even close. And you said, look at the stats. Well, let's look at the stats now. Well, let's talk a little bit about Bryce, because after this game, and I completely agree with what you were saying, after this game, it felt like a lot of the Michigan fan base, there were two topics of discussion. Justice Haynes being out and what that looked like, his timetable. And the next biggest one was Bryce Underwood.
Yeah.
So I want to take some time here. And I know we're over halfway point of the season right now. So I want to go and I want to evaluate. You've got a good enough sample size now. Yeah. With all the hype, with everything surrounding this kid coming into Michigan, how would you evaluate his season so far from a Michigan standpoint? And then at the end of it, I want you to give a grade.
Okay. So evaluate and then give a grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of what I've already said really encapsulates what the season has been is early on. And again, it's a common metaphor, but I feel like it really is the best one. I likened it to starting a freshman quarterback. And I specifically was talking about heading into Norman, what that would be like, that the Oklahoma game would be kind of this roller coaster thing, right? Where you're going to, when you start a quarterback that turned 18 2 weeks before his first start, it's a completely different beast from high school ball, obviously. And so you've got a very young quarterback who's not done this at this level, obviously. And you would have these ups and then you'd have these downs. You'd have these moments of, oh my goodness, and oh my goodness. And you will have all this because you can't have just one. It's this package deal. There are exceptions to that. Right? Like there are the Trevor Lawrences, there are the CJ Strouds, right? Like you will have that. Ty Simpson's playing phenomenal. But to have a true freshman, it usually comes with those things. So there's a sense in which I'd say none of this is terribly surprising. I think what's surprising to me is that I don't feel like we've moved. I feel like moving from like the first 2 or 3 games to now, I don't know that I feel like he's taken steps forward.
Yeah. And is that concerning though?
No, it's not concerning, but I do think that it's looking at it going, well, I guess it depends on what you mean by concerning. Like, is it long-term concerning for his skill, for his development, for ceiling? No, not at all. I do think it's mildly concerning in the sense of I expected, even with that mixed bag, I expected to see more at this point. Does that make sense? Like
a little bit. Like I would probably disagree.
I don't think that there's any need to be like, oh, we're concerned about Bryce Underwood. No, but I did expect to see more development at this point, and I'm hopeful that the bye week can continue to help some of that development. Because I do think that week to week, I mean, there's a lot of growth that can happen. And when you've got that extra bye week in there, this is a great place for it to end up and to land for Michigan.
So what are you grading him overall right now with how he's played? What grade are you gonna hand Bryce Underwood?
Yeah, I'm probably going to give him a B.
Okay, I think it's a solid B.
I think it's a solid B because you have seen the moments, you've had the games, and I look at games like Washington. Central Michigan as well, but again, Central's just a different animal, right? But games like Central, games like Washington, where I go, yeah, you can see it. It's evident. Everybody can see it. And then you also have games like Purdue where you go, okay, that stunk. You can see it. He sees it. Everybody can see it. And so that mixed bag where you've got a young quarterback that makes young quarterback decisions. The interception was terrible. Especially because he had just missed a guy in the end zone where he had Marlon Klein. The fumble I'm not too concerned about because it's a stupider rule and the way it had to bounce I'm not too worried about that. But the mixed bag where you see decisions that are just bad, like that's a bad throw. He looked bad against Purdue, but I've also seen him look really, really good. I'm going to give him a B. There's no panic. There's no concern outside of, yeah, I would have liked to have seen him develop a little bit better at this point. And I'm hopeful that by the time we get to the Ohio State game, we can see more of that.
Yeah, I think I'm obviously going to disagree with you a little bit here.
No, it's not called the Agree With You podcast,
it's
so that
not.
makes sense.
I wrote down what I thought his best games were and what his poor performances were. And his best games this season statistically were against New Mexico, Central Michigan, Wisconsin, and Washington. The best one being Central Michigan. 3 of those 4 teams are not great college football teams by any means. It's start of the year, whatever. I think he kind of peaked to me in the Central Michigan game. That was where I started to look at him and I went, okay, you're really starting to see why he was brought in.
Yeah.
But I think there's other outside factors that kind of take in, that you got to take into account. Going out there, and I don't remember at what point of the season it was. It might have even been prior to the season starting, where he made the comment, nobody has seen a freshman like me. And then he comes out and he has 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions on the year with what? 4 games remaining? 3 games remaining for Michigan.
3 left,
You got 3 left and you've not hit double digits on touchdowns this season. And so I'm looking at this, and for his poor performances, and I'll go half on one, because I don't think it was a bad game solely on him. But Oklahoma, he didn't play well. I know you strongly disagree with me on this one, but Nebraska, I don't think he played well. Michigan State, I thought he didn't play well. Not that he needed to go out there and play crazy, but statistically,
it wasn't a great game.
He didn't do anything. Purdue, not a great game. The one that I'll go, and I'll go, sure, that I'll give that to you because I don't think it was that terrible, was USC. I thought he played okay. I thought he was just kind of middle of the road. But for a guy that came in that was as hyped up as everybody hyped him up, I heard people from the Michigan side comparing him to he was going to be just on par and just as good as a Jeremiah Smith was coming in. He's going to be an immediate impact player. Him coming out there and saying, nobody's ever seen a freshman like me, paying the money that you guys paid for him to come to Michigan. The bar is here whether people want to admit it or not. The bar for him, regardless of his year in school, was this is going to be a guy that is going to be atop the QB rankings in the Big Ten, if not the nation. This is a guy that's going to be a Heisman caliber player and all this. And this is where you'll probably disagree with me. I don't think that I can look at a single game this season where he himself has been the difference maker. To me,
that's just ridiculous.
To me, the difference maker, even in that Washington game where he played well, was the defense and the running back room. The win against Nebraska was the running back room. You saw it this past week. The running back room, time and time again, has saved Bryce Underwood. I tweeted it this past weekend that Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes deserve some of that $10 to $12 million that he got to come in. This is going to sound like I'm ripping him, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, he's the worst quarterback I've ever seen. But I'm looking at this compared to the hype. And to me, if I'm measuring it that way, he has underperformed in my opinion.
Well, it depends. It entirely depends on what hype you're reading. If you're reading Twitter, yeah.
You said he was better than Arch Manning.
I think he is better than Arch Manning.
He is not even close. And you said, look at the stats. Well, let's look at the stats now.
Okay, that's like
it's the same amount.
That's like
it's the same amount of time.
That's like going back to the preseason and saying you said Clemson was
you said
really
it like
good.
2 weeks ago.
And 2 weeks ago he was better than Arch.
No, absolutely not.
Arch was coming off of back-to-back overtime wins against the bottom of the SEC. Here's the thing. I'm not really like the well, you're paying him X amount of money thing is a stupid argument.
It's not though.
You
said it all last year with, well, you guys have a $20 million roster. You better go. And you're bringing in one guy that's $10 to $12 million.
Okay. That's over the course of a season. Like that's not a comparison. And worrying about what he's saying coming in, like Ohio State of all teams in the country are the last people on earth I want to hear say, well, they said this thing and then they didn't back it up.
But you use that all the time. It's the same thing. You can't have it one way.
How many times do we get to November and we have to hear about we're going to win and we're going to do that? Like the Ohio State are the kings of talking without walking. So I'm not going to sit here and listen to your freshman quarterback said he was really good coming in. I'm just not going to do that.
He did, and he hasn't been. Regardless, my grade for him, despite all of that, is a C+. Yeah.
Nobody cares what the Ohio State fans' grade for Bryce Underwood is.
Well,
no one cares.
I care deeply.
The Rivalry Podcast is part of the Varsity Network from Learfield and the River Podcast Network from River Radio Ministries.
New episodes out every Monday.
Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening right now, and follow on social media at RivalPod and RivalPod.com.
And if you like what you hear, share with a friend so they can listen too.